Alright, gamers. It's time to talk about what exactly pay to win is, why everyone is wrong about it, and where we can go from here on how to fix it. So, a lot of people have this idea in their heads, this old big thinking, that paying to win involves basically you exchanging, funds directly in game for power. And that's not always true. Pay to win to me is defined as being able to exchange money for any sort of advantage. And the types of advantages that exist, a lot of people don't understand and don't think about. And it's basically almost impossible mathematically to be able to exchange funds in game for anything and not be paying to win. Hear me out on this. I know it's going to sound pretty crazy compared to how most people view it, but listen. So, if I buy a skin and that skin is harder to see in a certain situation than the default skin, that I've paid to win. I've gotten an unfair advantage basically from being able to purchase that skin, and I've paid real life money to have that advantage, right? If, there's almost nothing in a video game, like gold for game time is obviously pay to win. Like, all of these things are just de facto pay to win that we've embraced and we've accepted in this culture, and it's time to stop. Like, you cannot design a system in which you are exchanging any sort of microtransaction for an in-game cosmetic or anything else, even a time save, even a teleport. Like, your time is valuable. Like, you give two people the same amount of time to play a game, and one guy gets there X amount faster because he has the in-game teleports. He's paying to win. Like, period. Even in PvE games, it doesn't matter. It's still pay to win. And it's time to start accepting that any sort of in-game advantage that can be garnered through paying to win is just objectively wrong. And skins, you know, they can make your character darker. That's easier to blend into dark terrains. They can sometimes mesh with all sorts of stuff. Sometimes the new player isn't going to recognize what in the world your skin is even, or which hero you are, and they won't know your abilities until you cast them. Or there's so many situations where it's just a flat-out advantage. Yeah, it's a small one, but you are still paying for an advantage. There are advantages, and there can be disadvantages. The skin can just be objectively worse than, the default skin in a certain situation. True, but you're paying to lose then, which is even worse. Like, you're not even getting anything out of your funds except, looking different than the plebeians, right? And the whole idea is this is locked behind this, like, proletariat class of gamers that somehow is, destined to succeed or destined to have slightly higher odds, or they can invest more in the game. Not just that, having a skin alone and by itself is a psychological advantage because you've gone the extra distance in, like, say, a free-to-play game where you've invested your money. So that means by default people are thinking that you're someone who is either not very smart or is more invested in the game. So already they're, judging you and thinking about you in a different way than other gamers. And psychology in video games does matter. There is no way that you can have anything in a video game and it be an exchange of currency for anything and it not be pay to win. I'm sick and tired of hearing it. It's not true. And anyone who says otherwise is just flat out lying and trying to cope. Like, RuneScape bonds are pay to win, period. If they sold you different skins, that would be pay to win, And I'm an Iron Man, so it doesn't really impact me. It's a single player experience, basically, these days for me, so that's okay for me, but, and we can all choose where we want to deal with certain amounts of pay to win, but going forward, if we're talking about purist and how to improve video games, it's time to cut it off. If I pay $100 for a video game, I want that to be the game and that to be it. This is just ridiculous. Like, we live in a world where this is somehow acceptable, where Bobby Kotick is nickel and diming people. It's time to stop. Make it stop. Someone make it make sense to me, because I heckin' don't. And that's just it. Like, there is no argument against this. Factually, if you can exchange currency for anything in the video game, it is pay to win. The video game then is de facto paying to win. You have an advantage, you have a psychological advantage there. It's just that simple. There is no justification otherwise. Like, stop. Stop supporting this. Stop buying their stupid cosmetics. Yeah, they give you an advantage. Everyone knows it. No one's willing to accept it. I don't know why. It just is completely off the wall to me. It's just... I'm like trying to think of an argument against, like, the psychological aspects, the camouflage aspects, all of that. And there's just nothing coming to mind. It's just flat out, I'm exchanging currency to have an advantage in game. and we all just accept that because it's not as big as an advantage as it could be. Like, it could be worse, I guess, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's not as bad as, like, some Korean, it's not as bad as Lost Ark, where I'm buying, like, God knows, extra attempts at upgrading my armor or whatever they do there. I haven't played it, but I thought about it, but it doesn't work on Linux. It's got its own anti-cheat, so I'm not bothering trying to figure that out. If I can even figure it out, so is what it is. But, you know, it's just blows the mind. Just boom. You know, and people just support this stuff. I don't know, I'm playing one that's supporting that as well, like bonds, like buying gold in World of Warcraft. And then there's like the third-party markets that develop because of pay-to-win economies. It's just disgusting. That's all I have to say on it. Just stop. Like, stop trying to defend it. It's pay-to-win if you can exchange money for anything, period. That's it.